But little did we know a week ago when we were first sort of freestyling that we should watch some ECW that the wrestling world would lose one of the great innovators in the history of professional wrestling. Today's episode is going to be dedicated to the late, great, the incredible, homicidal, suicidal, genocidal Sabu. What a one of a kind performer. Tony, you, like the rest of us, saw the news this past Sunday. I want to give you a chance to talk about Sabu here.
I only knew him briefly. Of course, he was with WCW in 1995. And it wasn't for long, but obviously, you and I watching the old ECW tapes or programs got an appreciation for what he could do, which was unbelievably incredible. The risk that he took, the things that he did. He was one of the guys, obviously, that made ECW what it was. So it shocked me that he passed away at age 60, and got to meet him at or got to see him again recently last year during a WrestleCon during WrestleMania weekend in Philadelphia, and it was really a shocker. He in his later years was, and of course, when I saw him back in 1995, he was still in his prime, but in his later years, he was very much appreciative and very mellowed out guy. But I don't think you could be much mellowed out to do the things that he did in the ring, right? My God, they were incredible. So I'm not really the proper guy to talk about him, but I can talk about him from the appreciation to what he brought to the ring and what he brought to the matches. I think a lot of what we're seeing today had a profound impact. He had a profound impact on what we were seeing today. Don't you agree?
No, no doubt. A real innovator, a trailblazer, a pioneer. You've heard all those words thrown around. All of them are true in the case of Sabu. Your favorite wrestler was Sabu at one point or another. I was talking about Sabu's legacy a little bit earlier this morning as we recorded Jeff Jarrett's podcast, My World. And I think the word I settled on that perhaps describes Sabu best, at least from my perspective, is daredevil. And that's not to say that there weren't a ton of daredevils in wrestling, even guys like Shane McMahon or New Jack, or in more recent years, Darby Allin, and certainly Cactus Jack. But I would argue that Sabu may have actually been the OG, the pioneer of all the daredevil stunts. The triple jump moonsault, the Arabian facebuster, the use of those chairs, and then, of course, tables. I know that table spots have been done in Memphis and Harley Race and Ric Flair and Terry Funk. But there was one person who was really synonymous with that, and that was Sabu. And he was doing it years before the Dudley Boys. No disrespect to those guys. But his legacy was felt everywhere. You know, he was really the first tape trading superstar. He was an underground superstar before that was really a thing. And he had a series of matches with Al Snow, and that caught everyone's attention. And before you know it, you know, Philadelphia was sort of built on his back, first with the TWA and later Eastern Championship Wrestling. And we all know eventually Extreme Championship Wrestling. And he was exactly what Paul Heyman was looking for to build his brand off of. And even when WCW was offered the opportunity to go head to head with Vince McMahon and Monday Night Raw, even Eric Bischoff knew he needed something different than, and he reached out to Sabu. And years later, I don't think anyone would have ever predicted that Sabu would have the run he had with Vince McMahon in the WWE. And then later, of course, TNA. And what an innovator, how special he was. And I'm glad that he's getting his flowers now. I only wish that, well, he'd made a little more money in wrestling than he did. I hated to hear at times that things weren't going awesome for him. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of pain giving all the stunts that he did. And obviously, he, you know, lost the love of his life a few years ago. And I couldn't wait to watch his last match at Joey Janela's Spring Break, the GCW show this past WrestleMania. I stayed up late. I was watching. There was no chance I was going to miss it. And for all the criticism, I just wanted to see him one last time, and it felt special. And I was glad to hear he went to the Joel Goodhart show that was put on, I don't know, 10 days ago or so, I guess, at the ECW arena.
Right.
I hate that he's no longer with us, but I am glad that on WrestleMania weekend at the biggest indie show of the year, he got to main event one last time. He got to use barbed wire one last time and take it to the extreme in front of all of his friends and family. And then a week later, he's at the ECW arena celebrating where it all started. It's almost like this was preordained, predetermined, if you will. So I'm sad that he's gone, but I'm glad he's no longer in pain, and maybe he's finally got some peace. And I don't know, dude. This one, I talked with Joey Styles over the weekend when the news happened, and he said, "Man, this one really hurts." I just hate it for everybody who really knew him. I mean, I probably only had 2 dozen interactions with him.
Right.
We weren't like friends or anything, but he was always super cool and super professional and super funny. And I don't know, I saw Taz do a great tribute to him on his Instagram story, and the real life Taz is very appreciative of what Sabu did, and he said that, "Hey, Sabu made me." And I think there's a lot of other guys who would fall into that category, and we're going to do our best to celebrate Sabu here tonight. We're going to watch a handful of his more iconic matches. We're going to watch him versus Cactus Jack back in 1994. We're also going to watch him and Terry Funk in a barbed wire match from 1997. We'll watch him in a tag team match with his buddy Rob Van Dam against Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzaki for an ECW show that everybody still talks about. And then we'll watch something a little different. We'll watch WWE CW, where we saw Sabu and Big Show in an Extreme Rules match for the world title. We'll have a link in the description for today's show where you'll be able to watch all these individual matches. It is a bit of a departure for us, but we felt like it was a worthwhile one because it was Sabu. Rob Van Dam had a statement he put out. He's probably linked with Sabu more than anybody else. They, of course, had their fabulous match, which the readers and supporters of cagematch.net say was Sabu's very best match. It was, ironically, 4/20, 1996. It may have been Rob Van Dam's debut at the ECW arena. Even if it wasn't, Rob was a made man, even though he lost to Sabu that night. What an incredible match they had. And Van Dam took to social to say, "You never know when it's the last time you'll be together when it comes to this. Sabu was as irreplaceable in my life as he was in the industry. You all know how important he was to my career, and you know how much he meant to me personally. He's been a tremendous influence since I was 18 years old when I met him. Learning to be an adult while you're in the crazy environment of this business can go several different ways. I'm proud to have been able to carry on so many of Sheik's and Sabu's values both in and out of the ring. Sabu helped make me the wrestler I am, the person I am, and I'll always be proud of that and grateful. And because he loved the business more than anyone I know, wrestle in peace." Mick Foley took to social and said, "I just wanted to say that Sabu was one of my favorite opponents and that he was an innovator, a pioneer for our sport, and someone who gave so much more to the sport than it gave back to him. Just 2 days ago, I was talking with friends about my 2 favorite Sabu moments. The time we swept the blackjack table clean so I could pile drive him on that table in the casino with a silver nugget, and the time he tried his very best to break a bottle over my head, with the bottle finally breaking on the 6th try." Just some really awesome tributes that are out there from people who knew him the best. And I'm looking forward to us watching some Sabu matches here tonight. How about that, Tony?
I'm looking forward to it as well. You mentioned Darby Allin, and I'm sure that Sabu had a profound impact on his career.
No doubt.
Because Darby is almost kind of like the modern day Sabu in many ways. But also, Sabu, you mentioned tables. Tables with wrestling fans these days are the pinnacle of a hardcore match. If someone drags out a table and they don't use it, wrestling fans boo.
Yeah.
Wrestling fans chant table, 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 because that's what they want to see. And you have to thank Sabu for that. And yes, you're right. Many great wrestlers, including the Dudleys, used tables to their advantage and made an impact on fans. But Sabu was the originator.
Yes.
And so there you see Sabu's legacy that stands throughout here in ACW, in AEW, and I'm sure in WWE as well.
SaveWithConrad.com.
Yeah, I'm Justin Bruckman from Knoxville, Tennessee. What got me to Save with Conrad was the 83 Weeks podcast. I really wasn't thinking about getting rid of any debt. I just wanted to cash out some equity in the house to do remodeling. But I did both, so that was pretty awesome. Worked out great. Redid the foyer, built pantry space, and there's little odds and ends when I first bought the house that I wanted to take care of, and we were able to take care of it. So, yeah, paid off 2 cars and some credit card debt. So probably all in all, getting $30,000 in that, and then I got some $30,000 more equity out of the house, and got still plenty of equity left over. So payment's good. I lowered my interest rate. I'm in a much better spot than I was. Super easy. Everybody was great. Very, very awesome people. Francis and Steve were great to work with. They were awesome. Made it for a very easy, seamless experience. I'd probably say all in all, probably $1,000 a month at least. I lowered my interest rate, especially the way the interest rates are right now, which is, that's amazing. I'm Justin Bruckman from Knoxville, Tennessee. I saved over $1,000 with SaveWithConrad.com, and I did a lot of renovations with that money as well.
NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.